Filming? Hey everyone, thanks for joining us. Today's tutorial video is going to be all about taking stop motion videos with your trick. Whew. So now your trick's all set up. Let's get going with the tutorial. That was a tough one to do. So stop motion is our newest mode that we've added to the app. We're super excited about it. For those of you who don't know what stop motion is, it's essentially animation. You've seen it before. If you've ever seen old Disney movies or stuff like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, they're actually using stop motion animation to make those movies. But you can also use them to make super cool clips like the one that you guys just saw in our intro. You can animate with anything from people, clay, paper, anything you want really. You can just make objects and have them come to life using stop motion animation. So when we were putting stop motion into our app, we wanted to make it super simple and super easy for you guys to use. So essentially we have two different workflows. With our app, what you can do is when you make your stop motion video, it does all the work for you. And then all you got to do is select your FPS and we'll output a final stop motion video. But we understand that some of you guys are professionals and some of you guys have different systems and different cameras you like to use. So if you're using a different camera or if you have your own stop motion software that you prefer to use, other camera, I was not expecting that. If you have another camera that you want to use, then you can still use our stop motion mode, but the workflow is going to be a little bit different. So first, I'll teach you guys how if you want to use your other software or other camera. So the first thing you're going to do is set your camera up. So once your camera's set up, the workflow is super easy. The first thing you're going to do is go ahead and get connected and then open up our stop motion mode. Once you're on the stop motion page, you'll see you have a couple options. The first is your step size. That's just going to control how big your step is going to be. So you can go anywhere from 2 steps per inch all the way to 16 steps per inch. It's just going to be depending on what kind of movement you want for your stop motion video, and then your direction, and then your step. So for the professional workflow, if you're using your different software or different camera, all you're going to be doing is controlling the movement. So you're going to just press the step button on your phone, and then it will just step the camera. You can step as big as a 1/2 inch step, and then you would just be taking the photos and controlling it with your other software. So to show you guys the workflow to create stop motion animations using our in-app camera, what we're going to do is we're actually just going to set up a quick stop motion video using a tech deck and our Trek slider. So once you're ready to set up your stop motion animation, what you're going to do, the first thing you're going to decide is your step size. So your step size is just going to be how big the steps are that your Trek is moving. This is going to depend on how many photos you want to take and just take a little bit of planning. Right here we have about 2 feet of track and we're going to take about 60 frames. So I'm going to be choosing 3 steps per inch. So once you're ready to get started, go ahead and tap the camera icon and open up the camera page. Now the camera page is going to work a lot similarly to the simple and advanced mode camera pages. We just have a couple additional settings and I'll go over those with you. So the first thing you're going to do is select your output FPS. Now this is important because this will kind of give your stop motion animation the style you want. So if you do a lower FPS, that's going to be played back at a lower speed, and what that's going to look like is your animation might be a little more jittery or jerky, but for some stop motion animations, that's kind of a look you're going for. If you're doing a higher FPS in the range of 20, 24 to 30 FPS, then that might look a lot more lifelike and a lot more realistic. So it really depends on what kind of style you're going for whichever animation you want. But for this one, we're just going to go ahead and set it up at 15 FPS. We're going to set our footage to 4K, so we always like to film with the highest quality. Over here you can see that we have this double screen feature. That is going to be our onion skin feature. I'll tell you a little more about that when we get started. We'll go ahead and tap our focus to get our focus locked on the table. From here we can set our exposure time. We'll pick 1/60. And then for our ISO, we'll go around 100. That looks good. When you're doing stop motion animation, it's really important to select your exposure time and your ISO rather than doing auto, because you want the exposure to be locked, and that way you won't get any brightness changes during your stop motion animation. So we'll get our tech deck in place. So to start your stop motion animation, what you're going to do is you're going to press this button in the front. Now the button is going to control all of your steps. So when you press the button, what it's going to do is it's going to pause briefly, take the photo, and then it's going to move for the next step. So we're going to get started. We're going to take our first frame here. So now that we've taken a step, this is where the onion skin comes to play. The onion skin is on by default. You can turn it off by tapping the gear icon and then pressing that double window. But what the onion skin will show you is what your last frame was compared to what your current frame is. So it has a 50% opacity layer of your last frame, and what this does is it helps you line your shots up. So for instance, for this frame, I want to keep the tech deck in the center of the frame, so I'm going to reposition it here so that they are both overlapping, and then you can't see, yep, just like that. And that way, when everything looks clear, you know you have set it up to be in the same spot in the frame as you wanted it to be. Yeah, so it's pretty simple. So all we're gonna do from here is just continue making our animation. For each frame, we're gonna go ahead and move our object. We're gonna have the skateboard turn a little bit, and then it's gonna go around this GoPro. Should look pretty cool. We'll see what it comes out like. Yeah. Cool, so now we've just wrapped up our animation, we've done all the frames. Now is the best part. What we're gonna do is go ahead and click the stop button, then it's gonna process the video and show us what it finally came out to look like. So that one came out so sick. As you guys can see, it's super easy to take really cool videos of stop motion. I mean, even something as simple as making a little tech deck move across the table came out so awesome. So we were really excited about stop motion mode. We really can't wait to see what you guys can come up with. You can get really creative with animating. There's so many different things you can animate. You can animate people, you can animate paper, you can animate clay, any object really. You can do some really cool stuff with it. So that's a wrap for our stop motion today. You guys should be all set now to start taking some videos. So we're stoked to see what you guys come up with. If you have any questions, comments, anything you missed or anything you wanted to see that you didn't see, go ahead and just put it in the comment section below. You can also send us a message to clifford@dinoequipment.com or reach out to us on Instagram or Facebook. We're pretty accessible. So that wraps up today's tutorial. We'll see you next time.